We're recorded?
Yeah, we're recorded.
Welcome to Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair.
Blair, how are you?
Pretty good, man. Yourself?
I am also doing very well. We're recording together in person.
Doesn't happen often.
No, in the confines of Blair's recently finished basement. Wonderful. First impressions, wonderful. Simply wonderful.
You like it?
It's definitely a step up from the old shithole you used to have. I'm just kidding.
Well, it was just concrete floor and fucking...
It's just an unfinished basement.
Just an unfinished basement.
So this is a nice treat. And we're officially onto the third film of July, a.k.a. Camp Eat Every Sandwich Month.
Still love the name.
A.k.a. Summertime Classics. We've watched some great ones so far, and we have a fun one to talk about today. But before we do that, what do you say we chat a little bit about some horror news? Blairski, what do you got for some horror news?
Okay, for our listeners who live in the Edmonton or Alberta region, Deadmonton Haunted House has finally announced their new location in celebration of their 10th year, which is the old abandoned Edmonton Sun Building.
For those of you not in Edmonton or in Alberta, the Edmonton Sun is a newspaper in the city. And this is their old building.
Their old building is a big building.
Massive
building. So it's apparently going to consist of 3 haunts, 1 outdoor haunt, and 2 indoor haunts.
Which is, I guess, an addition of 1 haunt, because in previous years they've had the indoor and the outdoor, just
Correct.
1 and 1.
Correct.
So this will be a nice treat.
I can't freaking wait for it.
Oh, me too. We were even talking about doing this one more than once.
I'll probably go 2 or 3 times this year.
It's so good. In past years, we've gone the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, something like that.
5 years.
Something
and
like
it's, they just keep upping the game. It is great.
And for those who don't know, Deadmonton is a haunted attraction based in Edmonton for the Halloween season.
That's right.
Also, last night, which was July 14th, residents in the area of Blackstrap Lake in Saskatchewan were treated to a Jaws on the Water night.
Ooh.
Now, you did that before, did you know?
I did numerous years ago. And by the time I showed up, the lake was completely packed. So we watched Jaws on the lake from the safe confines of the grass in front of the lake.
Well, here, there was a 21-foot blow-up screen that was on the beach. And people had the option to either watch it on the beach or in the actual lake itself.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for them to do something like that around our area.
Yeah, and I can see it happening. I mean, it happens all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool summertime attraction that draws hundreds, if not thousands of people, which is really cool.
I mean, just imagine floating in the lake.
Yeah.
Watching Jaws, right? I mean, there's no fucking great white sharks in lakes, especially in Canada. But
we actually watched a trailer last night with Dolph Lundgren in it. We only watched half the trailer because it looked like shit. But it is about, I can't even remember what it's called. Shark Lake, it might be called.
Shark Lake.
And it's it's about that, sharks
in a lake.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like Jaws 3, I think it was, he was in a swimming pool.
Yeah.
So I guess anything can happen.
Anything is possible in the realms of Hollywood.
But that's all I've got for horror news, buddy.
I've got a couple here. The world works in mysterious ways, folks. Just last week, we did our Lost Boys episode, and we talked about the scene with the shirtless fella playing the saxophone.
Yes.
We have exciting news regarding Tim Capello, a.k.a. the Sax Man. The Sax Man stars in the new music video Monster in Paradise by Gunship. I've never heard of the band.
Me neither.
But apparently he has a scene in the music video playing the alto.
Really, eh?
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Good to know he's still out there.
It's just so weird that we just talked about him less than a week ago.
Yeah, man.
And he's,
World works in mysterious ways, bro.
Mysterious ways. Second piece of horror news I have. Blairski, corrects me if I'm wrong, but you love horror merch.
Horror merch?
Yeah.
Hell
merchandise.
yes, I do.
Few pieces back there. Well, there is a new piece of merch from a movie we've watched this year. That is pretty excellent. Spirit Halloween, who they're the official retailer of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, will be selling the infamous popcorn gun.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it'll light up. It has audio features and will be selling for $99.99. I'm guessing that's American. So $99.99 American, equivalent to, I don't know, $600 Canadian.
Just say like $1,000 Canadian.
You can order it today though, which is pretty excellent, and it looks super cool.
I love Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, apparently last year they released the cotton candy gun.
Okay.
But yeah, this year popcorn gun, which is apparently when you pull the trigger, it makes popping sounds.
We also actually shot popcorn.
Which I don't know if I didn't go into the logistics of the gun.
Just load some kernels in it. And...
I don't see why not. Orville Redenbacher at his finest. That's all I have for horror news. What do you say we dive right into this week's episode?
Let's do it, buddy.
Today we will be talking about X 2022, recent film. This one coming in at 1 hour, 45 minutes. Blairski, initial thoughts on the runtime on this one?
That's okay. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay with it. Under 2 hours, right?
Under 2 hours. It was good. It was a little bit of a slow burn. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that runtime as well. What do you say we chat a little bit about some fun facts on this one?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm pretty sure this is well known, but Mia Goth plays both Maxine and Pearl in this movie, which I think is pretty freaking awesome. Mia Goth actually spent 10 hours in makeup to become Pearl.
And you can see it. You can see she's in that makeup, but you kind of got to squint to see it.
Yeah,
but
you can tell it's her.
And once you notice it, you can't not see it, which is really, really cool. Yeah. Great makeup work on this movie.
Oh, I love the makeup in this movie.
Yeah.
X is the first film made in a trilogy with Pearl being released also in 2022.
Yeah.
Which is the prequel.
Yeah.
And Maxine, which is the sequel, in development right now. I think it just wrapped filming.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it did just wrap. And it takes place in the 80s.
Yes.
X obviously takes place in the 70s. Pearl, the 1920s.
20s or 30s, something like that. Yeah.
And then, Maxine in the 1980s. Yeah.
My last fun fact is this film was influenced by many older 70s and 80s slasher films, with none being more prevalent than 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's so, and again, we'll talk about this later, but it is so, there's some shots that are so evident that it's like, there's a scene with the farmhouse where Maxine, Mia Goth's character, is walking away from the farmhouse, and it's like that shot is like almost shot for shot from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There's so many scenes where it just has Texas Chainsaw vibes.
100%.
And I had to throw that fun fact in there because I know that's your favorite movie.
Love it. Yeah.
And we're also reviewing it this month.
End of the month. Wrap of the month with that one. Yeah. Anything else on this one?
That's it.
I've got a couple here. So apparently when Ty West arrived in New Zealand to start filming X, there was a mandatory 2-week COVID quarantine. And during those 2 weeks, he wrote Pearl. And A24 had greenlit Pearl before X had even wrapped filming. They read the script and said, we're doing it.
That's wild, man.
And apparently he told Mia Goth about it and asked her to stay in New Zealand for an extra like 10 weeks or something like that.
So they could film.
And she was like over the moon about it, which is why both X and Pearl released in 2022, because I'm pretty sure they more or less shot
right after
back
each
to
other.
back. Yeah, which is so cool. And then finally, X takes place in 1979. And there is a scene where Jackson is drinking from a milk carton with a missing person.
I noticed that.
Now, apparently, missing persons ads on milk cartons were not used until 1984.
Oh,
I felt like the comic book guy from The Simpsons there. Worst milk carton ever. I thought that was kind of interesting, though, and also like, who cares?
Yeah, I was about to say, who gives a shit?
Kind of neat. Yeah, that's all I have for fun facts. Let's dive right into this one. Directed by Ty West, also directed 2022's Pearl, 2011's The Innkeepers, Also directed the segment The Second Honeymoon in 2012's VHS.
Okay.
And the segment M is for Miscarriage in 2012's The ABCs of Death, which is really cool. And then, of course, he's currently working on the third installment in the X franchise, Maxine. Also written by Ty West. He wrote all of those movies that I just talked about. Also wrote 2009's The House of the Devil and 2009's Cabin Fever 2.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Starring big cast. They were all great, so I listed all of them. Bear with me.
All right.
Starring as Maxine, Mia Goth. Also starred in 2013's Nymphomaniac Volume 2, 2015's Everest, 2018's Suspiria, 2020's Emma. She's also rumored to both be in the new Blade movie.
Okay.
And a new Frankenstein movie, according to IMDb.
Wasn't she in the new forgot what it's called.
I haven't seen that one.
There's a new movie that just came out this year, I believe. I can't for the life of me remember the name of it, but she's also in it.
Get right out of town.
I'm Googling it.
We'll come back to it. Also starring Jenna Ortega as Lorraine, who, of course, had a huge year starting the smash hit Wednesday, both Scream 5 and 6 as Tara Carpenter. 2022 Studio 666, which is, I believe, the one directed by Dave Grohl.
Yes,
of
correct.
The Foo Fighters. Yeah. And is currently filming Beetlejuice 2, which is going to be huge.
It's going to be a massive movie. That movie that Mia Goth's in, Infinity Pool.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you are correct. Yeah. Also starring Brittany Snow as Bobby Lynn. Also starred in the Pitch Perfect series as Chloe. 2008's Prom Night. 2007's Hairspray. And in 15 episodes of the TV show Harry's Law, starring Kathy Bates.
Okay, I love Kathy Bates.
We love Kathy Bates. Scott Mescudi, a.k.a. Kid Cudi, as Jackson. I didn't realize that was Kid Cudi.
Yeah, that's funny.
Kid Cudi, of course, famed hip-hop artist who has also starred in 2021's Don't Look Up, 2022's Intergalactic, and 4 episodes of the hit HBO show Westworld. And also in 1 episode of 2019's TV show Creepshow.
He's done more acting than I thought he did.
A lot of acting.
Crazy.
Yeah. Martin Henderson as Wayne, also starred in 2006's Smoke Ace, 2002's The Ring, where he played Noah. 48 episodes of the hit medical drama Grey's Anatomy, and as Britney Spears' boyfriend in the music video for Toxic.
Okay.
Don't you know that I'm trying?
Classic.
Yeah. Also starring Owen Campbell as RJ, also starred in 2014's The Americans TV show, and as a puppeteer in 20 episodes of the TV show Crank Yankers.
Okay.
And then finally, as Stephen Uri as Howard, was also in The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. And in both Hercules, The Legendary Journey, and Xena, Warrior Princess. I always find that there seems to be one person in every movie that we watch that was in both Xena and Hercules. They were both popular at the same time.
Exact same time.
Yeah, pretty excellent. Synopsis for 2022's X, courtesy of IMDb. In 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in rural Texas. But when their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act, the cast finds themselves fighting for their lives. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. It is a very strange, odd movie.
It is really, really fucking weird, man.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that in likes and dislikes. But before we get into that, let's dive into one of our favorite segments of the show, Kill Count.
Kill Count. The time of the show we count the kills.
Blairski, you got a kill count for X?
I counted 7 deaths in this movie, and all of them were brutal.
I was going to say, for a cast of
5.
Yeah, 5 main casts. In all, with the police and everything, there's probably 12 people in this movie.
Yeah.
7 is a high kill count.
Yeah, and every single death was brutal. The deaths in this movie were very brutal.
Yeah, let's segue into likes and dislikes with that, because I'm sure we want to talk about the deaths. Likes and dislikes, of course, the portion of the show where we talk about what we like, what we didn't like, and everything in between. Did you want to kick this one off with the deaths?
Yeah, with the kills. I love the kills, especially the very first kill when RJ gets just absolutely butchered in front of that car.
By Pearl. Yeah.
By Pearl.
It's I had a note here which is kind of a dislike, but also like it's a slow burn as far as gore and violence goes until that moment.
Yeah.
And then the remaining portion of the movie is pretty intense.
Very intense, man.
Yeah.
The practical effects in this movie and the gore, once it gets there, is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good, man.
Yeah. We are officially back to badass intros.
Yeah.
And this one, it's not as in your face as other intros that we've talked about. And the intro itself is really quick. It's maybe only 2 minutes long, but the shot pulling forward out of the barn to see the cops walking up on like the carnage on the front porch of the house. I absolutely loved it.
I love how the beginning of the movie is also the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I love that.
I just love how much mystery there is in that first scene too.
Mm-hmm.
So you think all the carnage happens outside and then you follow the cops downstairs and you don't see what they're looking at, but you know that it's horrible.
Yeah.
And you know that you're going to see it at some point. And you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love that, the air of mystery kind of behind it.
Yeah, for sure, man. The soundtrack in this movie was so good. So after that beginning intro scene, when you first meet the characters, they play In the Summertime by Mungo Jerry.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite summertime songs of all time.
You love any song that has the jug in it.
Oh, man, it's great. It's great, man. But yeah, besides that song, which is great, the whole soundtrack to this movie and the score.
I was going to say,
Excellent.
Not only the soundtrack, but the score adds so much. We're huge proponents of movie soundtracks adding to the movie, and this one definitely adds a ton. On top of that, I love the aesthetic of the movie. We had talked about it already, but it immediately gave me Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. The film looks straight out of the 70s. And it's so funny, especially in one of the opening scenes in the van, you just feel the heat already. You feel claustrophobic. You feel kind of the staleness of the air.
Yeah.
You just feel it right away, which is like a really cool thing for a film to do.
It was shot really, really cool. It's very unique, this movie.
Absolutely.
I know you haven't seen Pearl yet, and neither of us have seen Maxine.
Yeah.
Pearl is also shot in its own very unique way.
Cool.
And I could imagine Maxine's going to be the exact same from the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I always forget Jenna Ortega is in this movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, in recent years, as in like the last year, because this movie only came out in 2022, but 2023 was a massive year for her playing the lead. I mean, in both Scream 6 and in Wednesday, she was the lead.
And Scream 5 as well.
So yeah, Scream 5 as well. So it's kind of cool seeing her in a role where she is not the lead. It is very much like an ensemble piece of a movie.
Yeah.
But she's not the lead in it.
She's not the lead. She does play a very significant role, especially near the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But she's excellent.
Her character is so different than what she's been playing recently as well. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And she gives one of the best horror movie screams in recent years that I can think
She really
of.
does. Back to the acting, Mia Goth.
Force to be reckoned with.
Mia Goth, man, is they state this in the actual movie, but she definitely has the quote unquote X factor in this movie, man. She is so freaking good. Not only as Maxine, but as Pearl. As Pearl. She's so good, man.
Such different characters. Not only that, I just feel like if this movie would not be nearly the same with anyone else playing those roles.
You couldn't do it. And wait till you see Pearl. What she does in Pearl is amazing, man. She's so good in that movie too. Like, I'm
excited to see it. And she's kind of unique herself, just like as an individual, but her acting chops are just like, she seems fearless.
Yeah.
Like
she really
she's
does.
just, obviously she's taking these roles that are very out there.
Yeah.
And she is running with them. She's so good. I love the nods to two great horror movies in in this movie. Obviously, Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
There's several moments where we right away were, oh, that's just like Texas. That's just
Yeah.
like Texas.
Yeah.
But another one's Psycho.
Yeah.
There's obviously a scene with Pearl peeking out the window, and it's very like Psycho-esque. And then, of course, when Jackson is looking for Pearl and he's in the swamps or in the lake,
Yeah.
he sees the car half submerged, which is right out of Psycho. I love that.
I feel like they even mentioned Psycho in that movie.
I feel
At a certain
that's
point,
right.
they do mention
RJ's
Psycho.
character,
Yeah.
Jenna Ortega, is talking to him about rewriting the script of the movie
Yeah.
so that she could be in it. And he said, no, you can't do that, can't do that. And she had mentioned Psycho
Psycho did it.
being his favorite
And
movie.
he's like, that's a horror movie. That's different.
He brushed it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love those nods to movies that clearly inspired the filmmaking process.
There's one shot. It's shot overhead,
Yeah.
looking down at the lake
Yeah.
when Mia Goth is being followed by an alligator.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that shot because the alligator gets so close to her, man.
Yeah.
And you think that she's going to go down, but just at the last second, she climbs out onto the dock.
I love chase scenes where one of the participants doesn't know that they're being chased. The tension is so high in that moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, any shot over top, looking down to them, kind of bird's eye view, and you just see her. She's in no rush.
No.
She's taking her sweet time getting back to the dock. And this alligator is also taking its sweet time. But you're like, there's a chance. And obviously, she's gonna make it.
Yeah. 'Cause she's the
Spoiler
main
alert.
character. Yeah.
But it's like, if this was anyone else, my anxiety would be even higher. And it was already pretty high.
Yeah.
I love that shot. I love that shot.
So it's such a good shot. What do you think of the landslide cover?
So
Stevie Nicks. It was sung by Bobby Lynn.
yeah, and I'll bring that up with our final review, which I
Okay.
forgot to tell you what it is.
Okay,
But
okay.
you'll like it. Yeah, I love Stevie Nicks. I love Fleetwood Mac. It felt very out of the blue.
Yeah, it was. So part of me was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Like, why? Because they play the whole song. It's the
The entire
entire
song.
song.
Yeah.
very out of place, and it's
Yeah.
almost kind of like a filler. But at the same time, I didn't hate it because I love that song so much.
It's a great song. I wonder if it's all about like their obviously stresses are a bit high. They had not the greatest encounter with Howard.
Mhm.
Tensions are high. Everyone's tired. They just had a full day of shooting. And maybe it's just a moment where it's like, oh, the characters are letting their guard down a little bit. They're relaxing.
Yeah,
They're getting comfortable, which is like the worst thing you want to do in a horror movie is get comfortable.
that's true.
Because that's the minute where
Shit's
things
hit the
start to go
fan.
wrong.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I also love that song. It felt very out of place.
Yeah, it did. It did, but I enjoyed it at the same time.
I loved the lighting in this movie.
Yeah,
It felt like a large majority of this movie is shot using natural lighting.
yeah,
So an instance that I get right away is the RJ death scene, where the whole thing is basically lit from the headlights of the
car.
van.
yeah.
And you see it, and you see Pearl standing out there almost like covered in this red light. I love it.
Well, it's because the blood splats onto the
Yeah.
headlight,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's how it just
Gave
comes
me
off.
Carrie
It's so good.
vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really did.
But the lighting in most of the movie, I mean, you get that hot summer feel, and it also gives a throwback to like a 1970s low budget movie where they maybe didn't have the budget to buy all of these extravagant lights,
Mhm.
but they made do. Like they didn't need these expensive lights, you know? They made do, and it looks so cool, and it added so much, I think. Anything else you really liked about this one?
I just have some notes here just of how fucked up the character of Pearl was.
Yeah.
How incredibly creepy Pearl
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And I also have a note here about the little subtle twist at the end of the movie
Yeah.
where it shows that Maxine is the daughter of that like extreme priest they've been showing on TV throughout the entirety of the film.
For those of you who haven't seen it, there's an evangelical priest who's rambling on TV about sex fiends and a life of debauchery and
Yeah.
a life of sin. And then, yeah, like you were saying, the twist at the end is he pulls a cloth off of this giant picture of Maxine, who's living a life of sin, and he hopes that she'll come back to him at some point. I love that twist.
And like, throughout the whole movie, it's shown just on different TVs.
Yeah.
Throughout the entirety of the movie. And then, right at the end, you find out it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't change the movie in any way that she's his daughter.
Yeah.
But it's just a little subtle twist that I really like how they threw that in there.
And it kind of sets a tone for what area of the world they're in.
Yeah.
I mean, the TV is turned off and on several occasions in this movie.
Yeah.
And this is the only thing that's on TV. There's no switching channels to find it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only thing that's ever on TV.
Yep.
It's on like a loop. So it's this, I don't know if propaganda is the right word, but the message that it's constantly being spouted at Howard and Pearl, and this is all that they're hearing, It's such contrast to the group of five.
And what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Anything that you disliked about this one?
Was a little slow.
Yeah.
Was a little slow, a little bit of a burn.
Yeah.
As I said already, that cover, that Stevie Nicks cover was kind of out of place, but I love the song.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, I love this movie, man. I really enjoyed it.
Agreed. I agree. I felt like it was a bit of a slow burn. I mean, once RJ's death scene, that's kind of the turning point for the movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's suspense leading up to that point, and it's very unsettling, and that something's not quite right. But that's the moment where everything changes, and that's the moment where it becomes, fight or flight.
Yeah.
And, their lives are at stake, which is, it's great till the end.
They put the foot on the gas pedal at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, not many complaints about this one. It's a fun watch for sure. This leads to our next segment, one of our favorites, some might say, which is lessons we learned from watching 2022's X.
Lessons we learned from watching. Insert title of movie here.
The segment of the show where we talk about the valuable life lessons we learned from watching said movie. Blairski, did you want to kick off lessons we learned?
I will kick off.
Excellent.
Lessons we learned.
Excellent.
I learned that getting old sucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
This movie has some very unsettling scenes in regards to aging and getting old.
Yeah.
Some scenes are actually quite hard to watch, but this movie definitely highlights that as one of the fears in this movie.
It is definitely unsettling. And obviously the characters of Pearl and Howard are, I wouldn't even say reminiscing. They're reminiscing to a point of jealousy.
Yeah.
And they're obviously a bit deprived. But it's unsettling.
It is. It's quite unsettling, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned that getting old sucks.
Yeah.
I also learned that when going into a movie called X, even if it's labeled as a horror movie, expect some X-rated material because there is a lot of sex in this movie.
Yeah. It was almost as if they went and they shot two separate movies. They shot The Farmer's Daughter.
The Farmer's Daughter was the porno they were
X.
making. And then they shot X.
Yeah. But and honestly, the first, I would say 45 minutes is all about shooting The Farmer's Daughter.
Yeah.
With X just kind of lingering, watching in the background from like a window.
When I was watching it, I was just thinking, I was like, I'm just glad I'm not watching this with my mom right now.
Oh goodness. I learned a couple lessons here. 2 keys to keeping a healthy relationship: never let a good woman out of your sight and never mention her weight. Words of wisdom from Wayne.
Oh, Wayne.
Well, we all know how that ends for Wayne.
Yeah, we do.
And then finally, don't walk barefoot through an old barn, or a new barn for that matter. Always wear steel toes wherever you go. Because you'll probably end up with tetanus.
Yeah, a nail on your foot.
Yeah, absolutely. This leads to another one of our favorite segments, which is Line of the Night.
Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night.
The segment of the show where we discuss our favorite lines from the movie. They might give us chills. They might give us the giggles. All we know is that they are our favorites. Blairski, do you have a couple line of the nights?
Speaking of which, the scene where Wayne steps on the nail.
Yeah.
And he yells, "God damn it, I'm going to catch tetanus from this shit."
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny because that's exactly the first thing you think of when you get stabbed or cut by like a rusty metal object.
I'm going to die from a blood infection.
Yeah, I need to go to the doctor right fucking now.
Yep.
So I had that as a line of the night. The last one I have is there's the scene where Maxine wakes up and Pearl is literally in bed with her.
Yeah.
Caressing her, touching her arm.
Yeah.
And then she starts just screaming.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Lynn comes running to see what's going on. And when she enters the room, Maxine just yells, "That woman was in my bed touching me." And just, it's the way she yells it, the
Just
panic
so
in her
creepy.
voice. Oh man, it's creepy.
And also that scene where Bobby Lynn, to get to Maxine's room, she passes
Crosses paths with
who's slowly walking out of the room naked.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary. Anything else?
That's all I've got written down here.
I've got a few here. Maxine, she says, and I love this line, "I got better places to be than where I came from."
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Jackson, after they shoot the first sex scene, says, "I was born for this line of work."
Yeah.
Maxine, after they pass the remains of a cow on the side of the road that has been hit by a semi-truck, she says this line well, trying not to vomit. She says, "I hate blood and guts," which I love anytime somebody says something along those lines in horror movies.
Yeah, in horror
it's like,
movies.
well, be prepared for the next hour and a half. Wayne, after stepping on the nail in the barn, there is a cow that moos at him and he says, "Oh, shut up, cheeseburger, wander into traffic."
I missed that.
Yeah, "Shut up, cheeseburger, wander into traffic."
It's also a reference of the dead cow shown earlier in the movie.
Exactly. And then finally, badass line of the night.
Okay.
The end dialogue between the cops, and it's the final bit of dialogue to end the movie. The first cop comes out of the house and says, "One of the boys found this inside," handing over the camera to the other cop. Cop 2 says, "What do you think is on it?" And the sheriff responds with, "Well, by the looks of everything, I'd say one goddamn fucked up horror picture."
Boom.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.
I love it.
I love it.
Because it's like, yeah.
It's exactly what we just watched.
Yeah, yeah. And that might not be what they see, but it's definitely what we saw for sure. Yeah. This leads to our final segment of the night. Some might say it's our favorite.
Some, yeah.
I would maybe, say it's our favorite.
It's probably our favorite.
Celebrity lookalike time.
Celebrity lookalike time.
The time of the show where we take a look at the cast and discuss the celebrity doppelgangers. Spoiler alert, it usually comes down to the character hairstyle. Blairski, want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I've got two.
Okay.
The character Bobby Lynn reminded me of a young Dolly Parton
Okay.
or even Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, okay.
Which simply had to do with her style. Her hair. Yeah, the hair, the way she was dressed.
Yeah.
The blonde hair, of course. My next celeb lookalike, the character RJ in this movie reminded me of the character Eric in 2013's Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Who was played by Lou Taylor Pucci, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Who was the only character in Evil Dead that had any fucking clue of what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they looked identical.
I
to each
missed
other.
that one, but now that you say it, it's like a 100%.
Yeah, they look identical to each other.
Yeah, that's great. I've got a couple here. The character Wayne reminded me of two different people. It reminded me of Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And then also reminded me a lot of FBI agent Fox Mulder, aka David Duchovny from the X-Files.
Yeah, so I was going to put Kurt Russell as well.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you would do that. So I didn't put it on, but he totally looked like Kurt Russell.
Totally, right? Yeah. This was a fun one to talk about. X is great.
It's a good movie, man.
What do you say we give our final rating on this one?
Yeah, so you didn't tell me what it is, so I'm excited to hear it for the first time.
Usually I let Blair know what we're scoring it out of beforehand, but we were just so excited to just jump right in both feet. I completely forgot. So this one we are scoring out of 5 Out of the Blue Covers of Landslide by Stevie Nicks.
Okay, I love it.
Out of 5. So what did you want to score this one?
I am giving 2022's X 3.5 Out of the Blue Covers of Landslide by Stevie Nicks out of 5.
I am also giving it 3.5 Out of the Blue Covers of Landslide by Stevie Nicks out of 5. This movie is bizarre and a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm very excited for you to watch Pearl.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Pearl. I watched the trailer for Pearl yesterday.
Okay.
I actually watched it with Carly, and she said, "Oh, I think I'm more excited to watch Pearl," just going off of the trailers.
If you check online, there's so much controversy of which is a better movie.
Right.
And it always comes down to they're pretty on par with each other.
Which is kind of what you want.
Yeah.
Especially in a trilogy. You don't really want one to be better than the other. You want them to be equally as good. You want them to work together or as a triage.
Yeah.
This was a fun one to talk about. I'm excited for the next two. But I'm glad we watched this one. But from Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair, I'm Jess.
I'm Blair. Remember to stay scary.
And eat every sandwich.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Reviews That Scare. Make sure you check out our Linktree at linktree/reviewsthatscare. That's linktr.ee/reviewsthatscare, which has links to our Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and many other things. If you'd like to email us, you can reach us at reviewsthatscare@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay scary and eat every sandwich. A proud member of the Planet X Network.